Hey everybody, welcome back to World History. This is our last section for chapter 20. So go ahead and get your notes out and let's get started. So today specifically, if you remember last time we were talking about revolutions in Europe. Today we'll be focusing on Latin America. So eventually, liberal ideas are going to spread to Latin America. They're going to want to change this 300-year system of Spanish rule that they'd been forced into. Again, remember, when we talked about this all the way back in chapter 15, social and ethnic structures had begun to cause resentments in Latin American society. We have the Spanish Peninsulares. These are members of the high social class dominating Latin America. They're of direct Spanish descent. You have the Creoles. These are European-descended Latin Americans who own the haciendas or the ranches. They resented their second-class status. Then you have the mestizos and the mulattoes, the mestizos being of Native American and European descent, and the mulattoes being people of African and European descent, being angry at being the low social status. Native Americans were also miserable under Spanish rule, and enslaved Africans worked on the Caribbean plantations as well. Remember, we've talked about these ideas. We've talked about things like encomienda last semester when we talked about Native Americans being forced to work and they being replaced by Africans, slaves. Eventually, the ideas of the Enlightenment are going to actually inspire Latin Americans. These educated Creoles will be influenced by Enlightenment thinkers, and they're going to see the United States overthrow British rule, and the Constitution also influence Latin Americans. The Creole Simon Bolivar is actually was going to be inspired by the French Revolution and the ideals of liberty. Throw on top of that Napoleon invading Spain. This is going to spark widespread rebellion in Latin America because they saw Spain's weakness as an opportunity to reject foreign domination and demand their own independence. Thinking, well, Spain's got their own problems. Napoleon's knocking on the back door invading. They're not going to be worried about us wanting to break away right now. And that's going to be true to an extent. Revolutions are going to erupt eventually in the French-ruled colony of Haiti, where there was 500,000 slaves working the sugar plantations. The slaves there were being overworked and starved. Toussaint L'Ouverture is actually going to lead a slave revolt. Now, he was a self-educated ex-slave, brilliant general and commander. The revolt will take more lives than any other revolution in the Americas, but they will win. Slavery will be ended, and they will control most of the island of Haiti. As a result, Haiti will eventually win independence from France. In 1802, when Toussaint's troops go up against Napoleon's, they're going to kick the French's butt. Now, on top of that, disease is going to force the French troops to surrender. By 1804, Haiti will be independent, and by 1820, they will become their own republic. Eventually, we're going to start to see these ideas of revolution spread to Mexico and Central America. Creole priest Father Miguel Hidalgo is going to want more freedom, and he's going to cry out for it, giving a speech known as El Grito de Dolores to encourage Mexicans to fight for freedom. Creoles are actually going to reject Hidalgo's ideas. But Jose Morelos is actually going to continue the fight. He was also a priest who wanted social and political reform. Now, sadly, he will be stopped by Spanish forces, but it begins the movement towards independence for Mexico. Eventually, they will win independence. Augustin de Iturbide will lead Creoles and others to revolt against the Spanish viceroy. Mexico will gain their freedom, and Iturbide will be made the Emperor of Mexico. We'll also see new republics begin to emerge in Central America as well. Iturbide tried to add areas to the Mexican Empire, but would be overthrown. And several republics will be created known as United Provinces of Central America. I'm noticing a lot of typos that I'm going to have to fix on this. So sorry for those of you watching the video. Now, we've talked about Central America and what was the West Indies. Let's move into South America a bit. Bolivar is going to begin the fight. By the 1880s, discontent among the Creoles will spread across South America. And Simon Bolivar will want independence from Spain. And actually, they're going to conquer the Spanish there and become known as the Liberator. San Martin will eventually join the fight and help Argentina win freedom from Spain and join other areas to gain freedom. The freedom leads to a power struggle with 4 new countries emerging: Colombia, Panama, Venezuela, and Ecuador. All of them are going to then result in power struggles among their leaders, which will lead to civil wars. Eventually, Brazil will also gain independence from where Dom Pedro, the Portugal king's son, ruled, who will become Emperor of Brazil and accept the Constitution. It will remain a monarchy until 1889, until it transitions into a republic, at which point Latin American nations will be independent, but not democratic, if that makes sense. A lot of times with these Latin American countries, we'll see more so them becoming limited monarchies, with them putting their own king or emperor on the throne. All right, that is actually it for notes for today. What I need you guys to do now is to work on your study guides for this chapter. I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.